This is Dr. David Shine, and welcome to Business Law 101.
One of the things that I added to this course is the fact that we tend to have a very what's called Western orientation to the study of ethics. And so there tends, even though there are more people in the world who are part of the Eastern population, being China and India combined, their populations are greater than the Western population. But because we're virtually everybody on this call tonight is part of a Western culture, whether you're from the Middle East or from the Mediterranean or from South America and North America, you tend to have a particular viewpoint that's what, again, we call Western. But that's not the only view. And if you're going to be part of the world community, and again, as we talk about every day, the world gets smaller due to the advancement of communications. One of the things is that we do want to look at some of these major religions, which are also not just spiritual, but tend to be ethical guidelines for us. We tend to have a very what's called a Western viewpoint of ethics and all that. And so we wanted to make sure that people are aware that, hey, this is not the only game in town, so to speak. And so we wanted to make sure that you had at least a little exposure to it. And to again remind you on Confucianism, the original Confucianism doesn't really have a reference point to business. I'm not sure why, but that's what I've been told in my research. There's something now called Neo-Confucianism or New Confucianism, and we can apply these same applications. And then the new concept there is ginseng, and one of the real critical elements of this is the word trust. And one of the things that they talk about is how this concept was advanced. And they, in the early days, of course, we didn't have Walmarts and fixed stores and stuff like that, especially large dispersed countries. So what would happen is there were these traveling salespeople, and they would go from with a wagon, and they would go from city to city, or I guess more appropriately, village to village to village. And the way they established trust was a very interesting example, which is they would actually extend credit to people, whether they needed it or not. They'd say, hey, we're going to leave these materials with you to sell this year. When we come back around next year, we'll expect you to pay us for that. And that's why we will establish trust with you. So it's a very interesting approach to things. Trust, then morals, then profit. So it's a pretty interesting deal. Also, I was looking at something talking about teamwork in some of the research I was doing earlier this afternoon. And one of the keys to having a successful team, very first word is the team has to trust each other, the members of the team. So this word trust is a very important word, whether you're in Western or Eastern thinking, for sure.
This is Dr. David D. Shine for Business Law 101. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite platform.